The fog doesn't lift here so much as it surrenders, slowly, to the morning sun. And as it pulls back from the shores of the St. Lawrence River, it reveals something that should not be here. An island, perfectly shaped like a heart, and on it, a castle. Not a mansion, a castle, with turrets that claw at the sky and walls of dark, cold stone. It has 120 rooms and exactly one story. This is not a story of a king or a tycoon. This is the story of a man named George Boldt and the colossal, beautiful, devastating lie he built, one stone at a time. His name wasn't always George Boldt. He was born in Prussia, in a place where his future was as predetermined as the seasons. And by the time he was a young man, he saw a horizon that was limited by the walls of his village. So he left. He packed his ambition and a new name, and he sailed towards the promise of New York City. He arrived in 1864, with nothing but a head for numbers and a desperate, burning need to belong. He started at the very bottom, washing dishes in a kitchen, the steam and the grime a world away from the destiny he imagined for himself. And America, in the Gilded Age, was a machine that rewarded hunger. George Boldt found his place in it as a man who understood the theater of luxury. He went from dishwasher to busboy, to head waiter, and finally to the owner of the nation's most prestigious hotel, the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. He was the architect of the modern luxury hotel, a man who invented the very concept of room service. He was, by all accounts, a king without a crown, a man who had built an empire from nothing but his own will. And every king needs a queen. For George, that was his wife, Louise. Their love was the central engine of his life, and for her, he decided to build a kingdom. He discovered Heart Island, and the name was a sign. This would be his ultimate declaration. A summer home, yes, but one that would dwarf the rustic cottages of the other millionaires. It would be a 6-story, 120-room castle, complete with a drawbridge, tunnels, and Italian gardens. It wouldn't just be a house, it would be a poem written in stone for Louise. For 4 years, from 1900 to 1904, the island was a hive of activity. Over 300 stonemasons, carpenters, and artisans worked, following Boldt's exacting specifications. No expense was spared. The power plant was state-of-the-art. The children's playhouse was a scaled-down version of the castle itself. A dovecote, an Ulster tower, a triumphal arch bridge. Every detail was a stanza in his love letter. He was building a testament to their life together, a physical manifestation of his success and his devotion. The castle was nearly complete. The plasterwork was fresh. The grand staircase awaited its first formal descent. They planned to celebrate their Valentine's Day there in 1904, in the completed heart of his heart-shaped island. And then, on January 12, 1904, a telegram was sent from Philadelphia to the Thousand Islands. It contained only a few words, but they were enough to stop a heart and halt a kingdom. Louise Boldt was dead. The cause was listed simply as natural causes. She was only 41. The news shattered the man who had built an empire on his unbreakable will. In that moment, the castle, his magnificent sprawling love letter, became a monument to a profound and unbearable pain. The dream had curdled into a nightmare right before his eyes. The command he issued was as absolute as his grief. Stop all construction. He couldn't bear to see it, to be in it, to be reminded of the future that was now ash. The workers, with tools still in hand, downed them and left. Paint cans were left to solidify. Furniture ordered from Europe was left in crates. The nearly completed castle was simply abandoned. George Boldt never set foot on Heart Island again. He turned his back on his $2.5 million investment, on his dream, and he walked away, a ghost in the opulent halls of his own hotels. The man who had everything had lost the only thing that ever truly mattered, and the monument to his love became a mausoleum for his heart. For 73 years, Boldt Castle sat vacant, a skeleton of ambition. The elements moved in where the Boldt family never would. Ice cracked the walls, vandals stole the fixtures, and the grand halls were home only to birds and the echoing memory of what was supposed to be. It became a local legend, a ghost story whispered about on boats that passed by the haunting silhouette on the island. It was a place where kids would dare each other to go, a place of sadness and mystery, a beautiful ruin that stood as a warning against dreaming too big and loving too hard. The story of George Boldt is the dark, haunting counter-narrative to the American dream. He achieved everything the immigrant seeks: wealth, power, respect. He built a literal castle. But his story reveals a terrifying truth: that the things we build to cement our happiness can, in a single moment, become the very things that immortalize our grief. He didn't just build a castle. He built America's most tragic and beautiful monument to a broken heart. And then he walked away, leaving it to the world as a warning and a wonder, a perfect dream forever frozen in time, forever incomplete.